Hello, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Jess.
She's the traumatized.
And she's the abandoned.
And welcome to our podcast, where we talk about true crime, spooky things, and everything in between.
And today we are talking about some cults. It's going to be interesting.
Full of trigger warnings today.
So many. We'll try to keep you guys as updated as possible. I feel like cults always do. I feel like cults are just bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not ever a happy cult. Maybe we should try to do a happy cult at some point, but...
Is that a thing?
Probably not.
D&D players? Could that be considered a cult?
Yes. I like the one thing I wanted to do was like at some point the whole, oh my God, I'm totally blanking. What was the church that did the worship music?
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is my church.
To?
Hillsong, that one.
Hillsong, yeah.
So I kind of want to do that because I don't necessarily think it's, like, they didn't do like bad things. They just like manipulated people. Like there wouldn't be trigger warnings on that one is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not the worst. Any hooser, how was your week?
Good. I went to the VA again yesterday and got my blood drawn. So next week we'll find out if all the medication is helping.
Do you feel better?
No. I'll still be sitting on the couch and pass out. So I don't know. So yeah. I don't know.
Well, they'll figure it out. They'll get y'all balanced for sure.
I hope so. And I guess now we have official moving date.
That's exciting.
So that's terrifying.
Also terrifying.
And exciting.
But also, oh my God, now you have a deadline of when you have to get everything done.
I literally have to start packing and stuff like crazy.
Just make yourself a schedule. That's what I did.
Just a little bit at a time.
Like literally a box a day. Or it got to a point where I was like, okay, I had to do like a room a day at this point. But I mean, at least it wasn't so overwhelming. Look at how much time you have and how many weeks you have, and then just break it down that way. That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
You got this.
Anyhow, but anyways, how was your week?
It was good. It was busy. It was very weird work week because we also recorded like not a full week ago too. So I might have updated you on this already. But like it was work one, off one, work one, off one, work one. It was very, I didn't actually feel like I got a weekend. So yeah. We're back on regular scheduled programming. Definitely feeling good about that. The weather is warming up, which I love, but the allergies are just awful. Anywho.
We should probably jump into this.
Okay, so are you ready for the fun fact of the day?
Yes. Fun fact of the day.
Fun fact of the day. Did you know that hippos actually can't swim?
I think I did. No, what do they do?
So they have really big bones that are so big and dense, they like are barely buoyant at all. So what they do is they perform a slow motion gallop on the riverbed or seafloor.
Oh.
And they like jump up. Like that's what they do. Yeah. And so what's crazy too is like hippos can actually sleep underwater thanks to a built-in reflex that allows them to bob up, take a breath, and sink back down without waking up.
That's crazy. How often do they have to breathe? Do you know that?
I don't know that. Hold on. 5 minutes. So newborn hippos are only able to hold their breath for about 40 seconds. Mother stays in the water with her newborn for several days without eating. Oh, interesting.
Why do they live in the water?
If they can't swim? I don't know.
Yeah, like
I guess for protection.
I guess.
Because really the only thing you have to worry about is alligators. But if there's a mom...
Have you seen a hippo's jaw?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think an alligator would fuck with them unless they had to. You know what I mean? So, are we ready, guys? Buckle up.
Are we ready?
We're doing cults. It's gonna be a thing.
Trigger warnings for my story. If you have an eating, food, any kind of topics about weight, losing weight, stuff like that, if that triggers you, do not listen or watch this.
Okay, bye. I'm just kidding.
On top of that, if you have any religious triggers, probably not. Again,
what are you doing to
me? For you. Also, if you have any child abuse triggers, this is not the story for you. Unfortunately, Jess has to sit through all of it.
I was gonna say, can you tell me like any sort of like good thing that's gonna come out of this? Because those are all
Let's say God definitely showed his judgment.
Okay. All right.
We'll
Like
get to
a
it.
vengeful, like, you fucking got what you deserve.
I don't want to say God is vengeful. I would say God is just
Karma. Love that.
karma.
All right.
Yes.
Cool.
All right. So this story is about how a diet plan turned into a church, which is actually a cult, where being thin was equivalent to being holy. The thinner you are, the holier you are. With a charismatic leader who believed she could rid the world of its evils with her ideology.
Yeah, I don't like any of that.
Yeah. So are we ready to be? I don't think we have to buckle yet.
As we'll ever be.
Be ready.
Okay.
So Gwendolyn, Henley, Shamblin, Laura.
That's a fucking name. Okay.
Well, the last two are like her married names.
Okay.
So Gwen was born February 18th, 1955 in Memphis, Tennessee. Gwen was a product of culture. She grew up in one of the most conservative churches, the Church of Christ,
Okay.
which in the documentary, Max has a documentary on this called The Way Down, which is a play on words. We'll get to that later.
Oh, I get it.
God, greed, something. If you just search The Way Down and you see a lady with a big blonde hair, that's the documentary
Gotcha.
to watch
Okay.
on this. In the documentary, former members of the Church of Christ would be like, we would look down on Catholics saying you're going to hell. And I was like, as a former Catholic, I was like, okay, damn, that's don't want to be in that
aggressive.
church.
Yeah. Okay, side note. If you're ever in a church that literally talks shit about other religions or other church, it's not right, because the whole preface of God is that you do not judge others. That is up for him to do. Like, I'm not gonna sit here on my holy high horse and look down on other people. Like, that's their lives. They're choosing to do it that way. Like, do not. That's a huge red flag to me. Is like, if you're gonna sit there and talk shit about other religions, about other people, you're not doing something right. Because that's not. If you're so like holy and preachy about how God is, then like read the whole Bible, maybe. You know?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. That's why I like don't get Christians who like walk up to people, just not even have anything to do with you, just doing their normal daily thing, and this random Christian lady will walk up to you and be like, you're going to hell, find Jesus, blah blah blah.
The whole fear mongering to drive people into religion, it's not gonna work. It's like the whole, I mean, that's very dictatorship of you, you know what I mean? Like, that's how dictators rule, was by fear. Like, instead, why don't you be an example and show love and compassion? They're like, whoa, like, what are you doing with your life? Well, here's the thing. And that's, you know what I mean? Like, lead by example, don't Bible thump. Yeah, just, and I've had a lot of really bad experience with that. So I get it.
So back to this. Modern churches of Christ have their historical roots in the Restoration movement, which I believe we talked about with the FLDS and the leader, the guy who started it. I can't remember his name, which was
it Joseph Smith?
Yeah, Joseph Smith, right. So the Restoration movement was a converging of Christians across dominational lines in search of a return of an original pre-dominational Christianity.
Okay.
So instead of having all these different churches, they wanted to have one church.
That makes sense.
Is how I'm reading it.
Okay.
Participants in this movement sought to base their doctrine and practice on the Bible alone, rather than recognizing the traditional councils and dominational hierarchies that had come to define Christianity. So I think, for example, the Catholic Church has the Pope and the bishops and stuff like that. So like they wouldn't believe in that kind of stuff. The views of this church were nobody but Jesus, the Bible is truth, and recruit as many to your way as possible.
And there's the red flag.
So, yeah. Growing up this way, of course, had a major impact on Gwen, as did her mother. Her mother had the clean your plate mentality.
Yep, know that.
Which obviously is when you eat everything on your plate.
There's starving kids in Africa. You have to finish everything on your plate.
How many times did we hear that as kids?
Too many.
Like, oh God.
I still feel guilt even to this day. When I'm full and I know I'm full and I cannot eat anymore, I've literally had to train my brain to really refocus on my fullness and not my guilt, because my guilt will drive me to eat more. Like, it's crazy. It's actually crazy.
I don't think I had it as bad as you, but I definitely like heard all the things. But I definitely don't have that guilt. I look at food, definitely if I get Zaxby's, I'm getting like the big finger plate, but I'm like looking at it like I'm gonna have 2 fingers now, and then I'm gonna have the rest later as a snacky. Like,
yeah.
I look forward to having it in multiple parts.
Yes. Yep.
But obviously we know this is harmful because it teaches children and just people in general to ignore your fullness cues, which in turn causes overeating.
Yes. Yep.
This led Gwen to have a lack of self-control, and it said she gained 15 to 20 pounds in her first year of college, which I honestly believe that that's normal.
I do too.
Because gaining weight once you're out of high school should be normalized because you're not a kid anymore. You're an adult. Your metabolism changes.
Growing. Yeah.
You're not as active as you used to be. Like, it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like, your whole lifestyle changes. You're not going out playing basketball with your friends every night. You're studying and doing finals and papers and essays. And it's a completely different lifestyle.
It is 100%.
And so you're gonna change weight. I'm sorry, but not sorry. Unless you're like super hyper vigilant about it, or I don't know. I just think it should be normalized.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even with me being in the military, going from boot camp, in boot camp, I was the lowest I've ever been in my life. I was 118 pounds in boot camp. And that wasn't not because I wasn't eating. We were eating calories upon calories a day.
Right. But
we were
burning
also
them.
burning them just as fast, doing all types of stuff. And I was a triple recruit, apparently. So I was doing lots of mountain climbing. I hate mountain climbers with a passion. You will never get me ever to do another mountain climber in my life. Fuck those. But once I got out of boot camp, of course, I gained weight because I'm not exercising 24/7.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yep.
Anywho, this did not sit well with Gwen. She was very upset that she had gained all this weight. And so she went on to earn an undergraduate degree in dietetics, is that the word? And a master's degree in food and nutrition with an emphasis in biochemistry from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. She then worked as an instructor of foods and nutrition at the University of Memphis. I think she worked there for 5 years, and then the health department of Memphis for 5 years.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Okay.
According to GwenShamblinLaura.com, okay, so I found obviously the actual church's website, but they have a separate GwenShamblinLaura.com that talks basically just about Gwen. Anyways, this is an insert from their website. When she was in college, Gwen's love for God, her sudden 20-pound weight gain, and her academic knowledge collided. By studying God's perfect design and naturally thin eaters, Gwen was permanently set free from overweight and diets.
I just don't like anything I just heard. Like, there's not a single thing that I was like, oh.
You weren't inspired by that?
No. There's so much wrong with it. Like, there's so much wrong with it. That's something like, I was sent to a mini church camp, at least one a summer, if not two. There were some summers I got to. I was never sent to a weight loss camp. And my family was all the time on me. My grandmother, as much as I love her, she'd always be like, pinch an inch. And like, I still cannot have people touch my stomach.
That's so disgusting.
But like, she did it like in a loving way, I think, because I don't think she meant it. I don't know, but it really developed.
Like, what does that even mean? Pinch an inch,
like on my stomach.
Like, what does that mean? Like, what does she mean?
That I had like
she wanted you to
had baby fat. I don't know. I was in shape too in high school. Like, my mom was all the time, wear a tankini. You can't like show your stomach. Like, make sure you hide your stomach. There were pictures. It wasn't ever flat. And my best friend was like, she was one of those who could eat whatever she wanted, and she was a board. But I had thick thighs. I had big boobs. I was developed. I'm not gonna be flat, but anyway, I have a lot of. You did this on purpose.
I'm sorry. I did not.
I
did not. Well, to be fair, I would say I was definitely skinny growing up, but I was so insecure that like, even though I was skinny, I would wear t-shirts to swim.
Yeah.
Because I was just embarrassed by my stomach. And my stomach, like, I wish I had that stomach now.
That's what I'm
was
saying. I wish I was in shape like that. Like, I see shorts that I wore and I'm like, damn, I want to be that skinny. Well, of course, we never will. Because first of all, you've had 2 kids now. Your body has literally altered to give birth. Like, you're not going to be that size again.
I think your tummy issues are the same for me with thunder thighs, is what I heard. Thunder thighs.
And it's like, can we not traumatize our children by saying what cute things? What would drive me fucking crazy is they would be like, oh, you know, pinch an inch and then bake me a fucking pie. Or have chocolate covered strawberries at home waiting for me. Or like freshly cooked muffins. Like, I'm not going to eat those. Like,
all right. Yeah, I didn't have it that toxic. That was bad. Mine was just mainly inner. Like, I don't think I'm.
What? I mean, self-talk is, you know.
Just as bad. But we change it for our children.
We do.
We stop the generational curses with our children.
Yup.
Or we try to.
We try to. Just be better than your parents. And then eventually.
In 1978, she married David Shamblin, with whom she would have 2 children, Elizabeth and Michael. The family lived in Ash Lawn, a historic mansion in Brentwood, Tennessee that was built in 1838.
Okay. Oh, it's so pretty though.
And then Brentwood, the town being in one of the wealthiest counties in Tennessee. Basically, I think it's a suburb out of Memphis.
Okay.
Don't quote me.
Okay.
Correct me, anyone from Tennessee.
Just do it nicely.
It was a 7-bedroom, 25-acre estate, and that would later become kind of like a venue for events that we'll talk about later, obviously, for the church.
Yay.
Gwen was described as charismatic and full of joy. People said her face would light up with pure joy when she spoke about God. Gwen began a weight control consulting practice in 1980. Then in 1986, she founded the Way Down Workshop.
Okay, great.
So the Way Down Workshop, and it's spelled WEIGH. So the Way Down Workshop was a weight loss program with no food restrictions, exercise regimens, weigh-ins, or calorie count. So what is the Way Down approach? Well, I'm going to let you know from their website.
Oh, goody.
Way Down is a revolutionary faith-based approach to overcoming obesity, overweight, and other eating disorders. The concept is simple. Eat when you are hungry and stop when you are full. So often we fill our empty, longing hearts with physical food. In fact, we have fallen in love with food and the result has been painful. So what is the missing key to rising above the magnetic pull of the refrigerator? God. Through classes, videos, testimonies, and accountability, Way Down helps you put food back in its place and turn to God as the one who can meet your emotional and spiritual needs. The result is a permanent transformation that affects the heart, soul, mind, and yes, the body too. Way Down is not a diet. It's the beginning of the end of dieting. Food rules and focus on the body. Join with the hundreds who have found success through Way Down.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. My mom would probably do this. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's crazy.
So Gwen was quoted saying, God revealed to me that the key to permanent weight control is the matter of the heart. Like she would say, she quoted a lot, stop bowing down to the refrigerator and bow back down to God.
Okay. I don't hate what they're saying. Because like you said, like no diet restrictions, whatever, like stop eating. Like I agree with all that, but I feel like shoe's about to drop. You know what I mean?
So I have a couple more things from the website.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go.
With God's help, you can learn to stop in the middle of a meal and have no desire to eat the second half if your stomach is satisfied.
Wait, what? Hold on. Pause that. Do that again.
With God's help, you can learn to stop in the middle of a meal and have no desire to eat the second half if your stomach is satisfied.
I feel like she did do this because we went through a whole thing where we would get a meal, cut it in half, and save it for later. Whenever we would go out to eat, it's always like cut the meal in half and put it in to-go box and only eat half of the meal. That's crazy.
Wow. That's weird. So anyways, continuing. God did not put chocolate or lasagna or real blue cheese dressing on earth to torture us, but rather for our enjoyment. However, he wants us to learn how to rise above the magnetic pull of the refrigerator so that food does not consume our lives. So the basic 3 rules or things to weigh down is relearn how to feed the stomach only when it's truly hungry, relearn how to feed or nourish the longing human soul with a relationship with God, and relearn how to recognize the different hunger urges and not confuse them. Basically, eat only when hungry or when your stomach growls, then eat only until full. All other times, go to God and pray.
So you're starving yourself.
No, you're eating when you become hungry and
Okay.
stopping when you become full. But let's say you're in the middle of a work day and you're like, oh, I could really go for a snack, like a bag of pretzels or something. No. Go to God and pray.
Okay.
I think this is this is quotes from Gwen. Dieting makes people totally obsessive about food, she told the Washington Post in 1997. The food rules. I teach people to transfer over their love of food to a love of God. Once you stop obsessing on the food, you'll be able to stop right in the middle of that candy bar. She added, if you focus your attention on God and prayer instead of the magnetic pull of the refrigerator, it's amazing how free you'll be.
Why is this a magnetic pull of the refrigerator? That seems to be a common thing.
It's something she repeated a lot.
Yeah.
If you can tell.
Refrigerator magnets are a thing, but why are we fixated on that? Interesting.
No, the refrigerator itself is magnetically pulling you to it.
I know what it meant. Also, I get it, because sometimes you see the very typical where they just open the fridge, look at it, close it, and then 5 minutes later they're back like something just appeared in there that you didn't see before. Like, no.
So the program was first offered in small classes in retail and non-religious settings. She began hosting the program at Bellevue Baptist Church near Memphis in the 1990s. The program was then packaged for seminar use, and churches began to sign up, and the media began to pay attention. The growth was kind of explosive. By 1994, the program was offered in about 600 churches in 35 U.S. states. So 1994, 600.
Wow.
The program was in more than 1,000 churches in 49 states, Great Britain, and Canada by January 1995.
Damn.
The program had grown to about 5,000 churches, with about 10% located in Tennessee by July 1996. And approximately 8 churches in Britain were hosting workshops in December of 1996. In 1996, Way Down Workshop had a staff of 40 and built a headquarters in Franklin, Tennessee. And Gwen began hosting an annual summer convention, Desert Oasis, in the Nashville area. Gwen and the Way Down Workshop was featured on shows such as 2020, Larry King Live, and The View, as well as in magazines such as Good Housekeeping and Women's Day. It was really weird watching that interview. I watched parts of that interview.
Yeah.
And it's so weird to watch like a delusional person just like try and talk, and Larry King is like not buying any of the bullshit that she's spitting.
Funny. Lord, that hair.
It gets bigger.
How? She has like 5 inches on her head right now. Oh my God.
Also, Gwen wrote a book in 1997 called The Way Down Diet. It was published by Doubleday Incorporated, and it was the first of many to come. I forgot to count how many are now public, but there were a lot. The book sold more than 1.2 million copies.
I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure we had this book.
Like, if your mom keeps her old books, I would definitely look through them.
I'm pretty sure we had this book. It looks so familiar. Yeah, I have to, because I swear I've done this, or my mom tried to force us into.
Here we go. Are you ready?
I guess.
In 1999, Gwen broke from the Church of Christ and launched Remnant Fellowship, based around her dieting teachings, which saw weight loss as a pure reflection of spiritual commitment and intent. Gain as failure and sin. Oh, weight gain as failure and sin.
I gotcha.
What was I trying to say there?
So gain loss is heavenly. Gain weight. No, wait.
Weight loss is heavenly.
Yes. Weight gain is sin.
Weight gain is failure.
And sin, which is crazy. Okay. Wow.
According to the Remnant Fellowship website, Gwen felt led to go even further in helping others to live fully for God. The name stemmed from Gwen's belief that her congregation was the true remnant of the Christian church, essentially declaring all other Christian churches irrelevant. She founded the church with 7 others, including her husband, David Shamblin. David stuck mainly to the background and didn't really go to like the seminars and stuff. You didn't really like see him.
Okay.
But their children were heavily involved. Michael was basically the musical leader of the church. And then Elizabeth was obviously a mini Gwen. She was being raised to become Gwen.
I was going to say, was she in charge of like the children activities? Because that's very cliche.
I don't know. But
we're going to assume so, because that is how that usually works.
In 2003, Gwen and David donated, the website heavily says donated, okay, a 40-acre piece of property in the middle of Brentwood, Tennessee for the construction of the church. The building was completed in 2004.
I wonder if they were able to tax write the shit out of that because it's donated.
Yeah.
That's probably why that was very...
Like, I'm not joking you. The website, like the Revenant website, whatever website I got it from, it was one of their websites.
Yeah.
It said donated in bold like 3 times.
Any tax people that are looking into this, it's donated.
Donated, wink, wink, donated.
It's still donated, in case you guys were wondering. We definitely, I mean, it's really pretty church. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. What do they believe in? What is their message? Are you ready for it?
No.
The message can be summed up in the fact that each man, woman, and child, each individual, can find their own personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ, which then gives them God's Spirit to guide them hour by hour in all decisions and walks of life.
Okay.
The results of putting God first and learning to love Him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength are profound because people, for the first time in their lives, are getting away from mind-controlling people, mind-controlling religious leaders, mind-controlling food and lifestyle rules, and learning how to make their own decisions.
Ma'am, pot kettle, have you guys met?
I thought I could say that with a straight face. The world has been enslaved and been controlled and made to feel like they have to depend on the world to tell them what to do. But the truth is that God can guide each individual, and that's their message.
I mean, so on one hand, I understand because I don't love organized religion. I don't think it works. So I get what they're saying. Like, yeah, like, you know, don't be mind controlled. Don't believe something just because you're told to believe it. Like, do the research, figure it out yourself, like experience it. But I feel like it's very like it would
like it's almost like them projecting.
Yeah.
Like, we don't mind control you.
Right. Yeah. Go away from mind control, but do exactly what we say.
Yeah. Another big factor of this church is that they deny the Trinity.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And for those of you who don't know, the Christian doctrine of the Trinity is like a central doctrine concerning the nature of God in most Christian churches, which defines God existing in 3 co-equal, co-eternal, co-substantial divine persons: God the Father, God the Son, and
God the Holy Spirit.
God the Holy Spirit. The God of the universe did not die on the cross. Jesus Christ died on the cross. Stop letting the blind lead the blind. Repent now from believing that God and Jesus are the same being. This is an abomination. Sorry, I added a little flair to the end there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I feel like it was definitely meant to be that way. So I get it, because a lot of people do have issues with the whole, if he was God, yeah, if Jesus is a part of God, how did he die? You know what I mean? He's all encompassed. And the whole idea of God knowing everything, so he knowingly sent his son to die for our sins. I get it, but also the whole domination, like, okay, calm down. Calm down, Karen.
Also, Gwen referred to God as the Alpha and the Omega. So, which I'm not really sure what that means, but okay.
No, that's a thing. That's the Alpha and Omega. It's in a lot of songs. Basically saying he is everything.
Yeah. Obviously, this does not sit well with other churches, especially the ones who had been hosting the Way Down workshop.
Yeah.
So a lot of them was like, done with you. They sent their tapes back and everything. It was like she was really popular with all the churches, and then she said that, and it was like complete flip. Everyone was like, go away.
That's so interesting too, because like as a church, how do you be like, just kidding, we don't believe that now? Like, how do you retract that? That's really hard.
Well, so I think the whole thing is like with the Way Down workshop. So the Way Down workshop is kind of like separate from the church. Like the Way Down workshop is basically
they were kind of just using the churches then as like a
it was basically like, hey, this is a diet plan for religious people.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That. Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a diet plan that was like forcing beliefs on people.
Gotcha. Okay.
She used it to become this church.
Until she did.
Until she did. Yeah. So the beliefs of the Remnant Fellowship Church are centered around Gwen's controversial diet program.
Okay.
And her belief that the Way Down methodology could be applied to solve all of the world's evils. Like I said in the intro, she said that this could be used to solve cigarettes or smoking, drinking, pornography. Like, just use this method.
Yeah.
But former Remnant church members say that the so-called religious ideology of the church was instead about obeying Gwen's authority.
Right. So you get very like, okay, but who's actually in charge? The pastor or God?
Yeah. Which Gwen claimed she received from God and getting and staying thin, I guess. So like...
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, Gwen pushed the belief that being able to lose and keep off weight quickly was a reflection of being more holy or closer to God, like I said in the interview. One of the former members is actually the one that said, the thinner you are, the holier you are.
Interesting. Okay.
Remnant Fellowship Church puts a heavy emphasis on obedience. Women obeying their husbands, children obeying their parents, and all congregants obeying church leadership, who obeyed Gwen herself, of course. In the documentary, the church was kind of described as being set up like God, then the church elders, then Gwen, when in reality, it was God, Gwen, then the elders. They said elders. I don't know. That's leaders, I guess.
So the elders are the people who have been in the church the longest. They're supposed to be the ones who are most knowledgeable, kind of thing.
Right. So Gwen would put male leaders under her. It was like she would like surround herself with like male subservients, which probably fed into the other subservient ideology where women have to obey men. That's what I'm thinking. Why she would surround herself with men leaders so that the women under them would like listen.
But she's a woman.
I don't get it.
Okay.
But that's how
she set it
up.
Okay.
Yeah. Ted Anger was said to be Gwen's right-hand man. Interesting little fact, on their website, he's no longer a leader. So that's
what happened.
Interesting. There is very little information like on the internet about Ted Anger. So I would suggest if you want to like learn more about him, watch the Max documentary.
Okay.
But the former member said he was a very bad person.
Ooh. Okay. So that's probably why he's not on their website anymore.
Leadership had all the authority above the congregation. They could not go on vacations, get married, or even have outsider family visit without permission from the leadership.
Okay. Where did we go wrong here? Hello?
On one website, when I was trying to look at pictures, I found like pictures of messages from leaderships. Like, oh, you should probably ask Gwen before you can open a Facebook.
How do we go from don't let the people control what you do to now this? Like, how did we get here?
That's why I laugh when I say that first. Their mission statement or whatever.
Now, I've been a part of churches where they want you before you get married, like they want you to go through a therapy sort of thing.
Something. Yeah.
Which I mean, okay, whatever. I do think before you get married, it would be good to kind of go through some sort of counseling. I'm not saying it has to be Christian, but just to kind of air some shit out. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad thing, but To have to ask permission, guys, that's not great.
No. Along with this included no divorcing. It was said that Gwen would tell members to like stick it out, suck it up. There's no divorce. Former congregants say that they were encouraged to fast and starve themselves in order to lose weight. So in the documentary, they would say they lost so and so pounds and that wouldn't be satisfying to Gwen. So they would ask them to like, well, fast then to lose more.
Yikes. Okay.
They were also told to stop taking necessary medications like depression medications.
Wow.
And obviously they could not leave the church without facing retaliation. Others say the people who were unable to lose significant amounts of weight were shunned by the church community.
Jesus. Wow.
Or like, because a lot of their things were like recorded or like did seminars or whatever, the people who were like still overweight, they would ask to, you know, attend via website or whatever.
So like you're not allowed to come into the church anymore.
Yeah.
Bad for publicity.
Watch through the link. Yeah. So like I said, people were told not to take their medications for like depression, but depression and grief were not a thing in this church. With depression, members were just told to pray the demons away.
That's a thing. That's a really shitty thing about organized religion. Just be happier.
There were supposed many suicides of young people in the group, and I'll also kind of explain why that is in another segment. But there was also no grieving.
Yikes.
Elizabeth, Gwen's own daughter, and her husband had lost a child, but they acted as if it never happened.
Why?
There was not a single moment that they like grieved or like showed sadness or at any point even acknowledged it.
Wow. It's so not healthy.
I didn't know where to put this information, but the church also established many businesses for profit. They had a real estate company, a financial planning company, a car service company, and Exodus Industries, which to me sounded kind of like an umbrella company. They covered a lot of things.
Okay.
Like they did everything from plumbing to electricity. It sounds like they were trying to be like self-sufficient so that their members would not have to go to outside sources for like to do your hair, to go to the doctor and stuff like that, which is, guys, it's a red flag. That's a cult.
Red flag. That is a cult. Literally.
Red flag.
So
they also had a recording studio, by the way, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
The parallels between our two fucking stories are actually insane. Even the way we did the setups and stuff.
Really?
I think it's starting to show that we've been together for so long because we're like morphing into the same person. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, everything was controlled by Gwen and leadership. This would include the divorcing. That was until Gwen met Joe Lara.
Okay.
Joe Lara was an actor. He was known for his role in the 1989 TV movie Tarzan in Manhattan.
Okay.
Joe grew up with a rich lifestyle in California, and he had a tendency to look for women who could give him that lifestyle. So it kind of sounded like he was kind of like a bum, like growing up. Like he was an actor, but he was also like a bum that would like mooch off people.
Mooch off. It was a moocher. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It was said he had a drug problem as well. That's what his ex-girlfriend said. But former girlfriend and mother to his daughter, like I said, described him as handsome. But the way that she described him, how I described him after her description of him, I was like, handsome, but full of red flags. Like, why are we dating this man?
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Joe
was working as a handyman at some point. He got turned to the church. At some point, he got to Tennessee and working as a handyman. I don't know. I didn't get all the gritty details.
Okay.
But he was a handyman, was turned over to the church, and that's where he met Gwen.
Okay.
All of a sudden, divorce was okay. All of a sudden, God gave Gwen permission to divorce.
But only Gwen, or now is it okay with the church?
I think now it was okay.
It's just okay now. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Cool.
So Gwen wanted to divorce David, who, like I said, had stepped back from the church. He especially stepped back from the church when it became money driven.
Okay.
So he wasn't really involved with the church at all at this point.
Okay.
He vehemently did not want a divorce. He was offering her money, property, anything she wanted, just stay with me. So in the end, Gwen had to give up a lot of her money station, whatever, to be with Joe.
Interesting. But the whole
Yeah.
reason I feel like Joe was with her was for that money. So
Oh,
how's that gonna work?
Oh, it's fine. She's fine. They were fine.
Oh, I'm sure they were.
They married in 2018.
Okay.
It was said that Joe wanted to be a country star. And Remnant had a recording studio, so it was very perceived by like the members and people outside that Joe was just using Gwen for her wealth and her opportunities.
Interesting.
But he fell into he played into the part. And like people in the documentary, like, we don't know if he believed what Gwen was saying, but he was an actor, so like,
true,
he could have just been like acting the whole time.
Very true.
My next segment is called The Troubles of the Church. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Buckle up.
Ugh.
So in the early years, Gwen was actually sued by a couple former employees of the Way Down workshop.
Okay.
Because remember, they had like a headquarters, a whole thing before the church even became a thing. They claimed that Gwen would pressure them into attending her own church. So like if they didn't go to her church, she would like pressure them like, hey, you should come to that church. According to them, they lost their jobs for not agreeing to attend and follow Remnant. So they filed religious discrimination lawsuits, and it's my understanding that these were settled. I do not know for what amount.
Okay.
But now we get to the buckle up part.
Okay. I was like, ma'am, why are we buckling? Okay.
The church came under scrutiny on how they believed children should be treated when an 8-year-old passed away. I say passed away. He was murdered.
Oh, good God.
8-year-old Joseph Smith died in October 2003, which I thought this was way more recent than it was. I didn't realize that it happened in 2003.
Yeah.
But a day after his parents called 911 from their home in suburban Atlanta, Georgia, they told authorities he passed out while they were in the kitchen participating in an online prayer session. 3.5 years later, Joseph and Sonia Smith were found guilty of beating their son to death.
Oh, wow.
And each was sentenced to life plus 30 years in prison. The medical examiner's report said Joseph died of blunt force trauma to the head associated with acute and chronic abuse.
Oh my God.
The Smiths, who claimed Joseph's death was accidental, were members of the Remnant Fellowship Church. Like I said earlier, children were to obey their parents. Parents were encouraged to use corporal punishment. The Remnant Fellowship website at one point promoted discipline of children that included traditional spankings, and they have traditional spankings.
Right.
And former members said the church condoned hitting children. This was reported by the Tennessean in 2004, which is a newspaper, I believe.
Okay.
Obviously, it was a website when I looked at it.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
They would use hands, spatulas, wooden spoons, belts. Belt was Ted Anger's favorite. Most popular, though, was glue sticks. And you're like, what?
What's a glue stick?
I'm not talking about like a glue gun, like a hot glue gun.
Oh.
Like the little plastic round sticks.
Oh my God, yeah.
Except they weren't using the little ones. They were using like long ones.
Oh, because they could like bend and shit. Oh, that's fucked.
So it was reported that they would hurt really bad, but they would leave no marks.
Oh no.
And that's why the glue sticks were used.
Oh no. Yikes.
Former member Megan Cox told A&E True Crime that Remnant Fellowship children were expected to behave perfectly at all times. We were taught to absolutely and unequivocally submit. And if we didn't submit, there were ramifications. Basically, be seen and not heard.
Yikes.
Or something like that. Former church member Gina Wilson says the church put extreme pressure on parents like her to ensure their children were obedient and compliant. There was a sign to the world of God's favor of the church, says Wilson, who left the church in 2012 after 13 years. If the children were not obedient, you would be losing the favor of the church and Gwen.
Good God.
During the 2019 deposition, which I didn't realize the 2019 deposition was actually for the Joseph Smith case.
Yeah.
I didn't really look as to why they were depositioning Gwen, but they did. And they played recordings of Gwen to her. So one of them was, this is Gwen in a recording.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not scared of spanking, you haven't spanked them yet. If you have really spanked them yet, you don't love them. You love yourself.
I actually broke a couple of wooden spoons. Notice I say I broke. They were broken on me. And that was the one thing. I was like, this hurts me. It does hurt me. I hate hurting you. And I'm like, then why the fuck are you doing it? You know, I don't know. I just feel like for lying. But I feel like that's very counterproductive because now I just don't want to get in trouble because you're going to spank me. You know what I mean?
I'm going to keep lying to you.
Yeah, I just got to get better at lying. Like,
actually
what?
A wooden spoon?
Mm-hmm. 2 of them, I think. Yeah. Belts were a thing. When they started doing the belt, I got smart about it and I would just start like putting underwear on, more underwear. I'd like wear like 10 pair of underwear to try to.
How many times do you get hit?
I don't remember a lot. I remember distinctly the belt at least twice. I don't remember. It was a lot.
I don't think I've ever been spanked.
Got spanked a lot as kids.
My mom was just scary.
And that's the thing. I feel like if you respect your parents, you don't want to disappoint them. You know what I mean? Again, it's the whole like, are you going to raise them by fear or by respect and love? So.
Like one time I lied about going to, speaking of religious, going to religious class because we called it, I can't say the big word, but we called it CCD and it was on Wednesdays. And one time I lied about going to it and I went to a friend's house instead. And like, I think I just got grounded. I didn't get, like my mom, I don't think my mom ever physically hurt me.
Well.
My mom was scary. Like my mom used to do, before she became the cook of the school, she was an education assistant. So there was a boy who had Tourette's that she would sit with and assist and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was one day my classmate, her and I were making copies for a teacher or something in the hallway. The copy machine was in the hallway. And it must have been during like recess or PE or something because I see my mom walking down the hall with the kid she's with. And obviously he was misbehaving. And my mom was like sternly talking to him. She wasn't yelling, but they were walking past and she was like sternly like talking to him about his behavior. And after they went past and they went into the elementary, my classmate looked at me and she's like, now I understand how you don't act up. Like, or she was something like that. She was like, now I understand you. How you like,
now I understand why you're a goody goody. Like, yeah.
That's so crazy. I didn't, like, I knew people did it, but like that's, I can't imagine. Like,
and I'm normal somehow. I mean normal is like not really normal. Sorry, you didn't have to agree so fucking quick.
Sorry. I mean, I'm not normal either. I'm just on the opposite spectrum of like abandonment, neglect. Like,
yeah, I got too much attention, if you know what I mean. Like,
and I didn't get enough. It's fine. We're fine. We're mentally stable.
Everything's fine.
Sleeping at night.
We don't have a podcast literally called The Abandoned and Traumatized. That's fine.
Okay, so after Joseph's death, Remnant Fellowship was investigated by law enforcement in Georgia and Tennessee. Other than the Smiths, no church members were charged in relation to the case. Police who testified during the Smiths trial in 2007 said they could not find a link between the boy's death and the church's teachings about punishment, which is crazy to me because the website literally said traditional spankings.
Yeah, literally said to spank your children, and they were beating them. I mean, I guess it could be like,
find the correlation.
It is a very tricky line between beating someone and spanking them.
Yeah. So I didn't put this in, but in one of these recordings, I guess they would do like sessions with women or whatever. In one of these sessions, the mother of this child was like, you would be so proud of me. I took everything out of his room like Ted said to do. And Gwen's like, good job, you're doing great. I'm summarizing what was said, but that's basically the gist of it. She was abusing her son and Gwen was praising her for abusing her son.
I got my door removed once.
I never had a door.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, there you go.
To be fair, we bought like an older house and the door to my room was just broken and we never fixed it.
Okay.
The police finding no connection for me is just
Wild.
insane.
Yeah.
What's even crazier, you'll never get this, church members helped pay for the Smiths' legal fees. And they claim they are innocent and that Joseph died to like a skin infection or something stupid. Like, oh my God. Like, so the church believes that these people are innocent and that believes, but they basically defend them, saying that, you know, that's not true. On top of that, the church even runs a website proclaiming the Smiths innocent. www.thesmithsareinocent.com.
Oh
You can
my
still go
God.
to it this day.
Jesus. Okay.
That's, yeah, that.
That's a thing. Okay.
That, yeah. So not only are they toxic on their whole like eating situation, they're also toxic with the children's.
Yeah.
It's just all around not a good
bad.
church.
Just really bad. Yeah.
Which brings us to 2021.
Okay.
On Saturday, May 29th, 2021, Gwen and her husband Joe, along with 5 other Remnant Fellowship church leaders, boarded a 1982 Cessna 501 private plane at the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport in Tennessee. Please rename your airport. Thank you.
That's awful. Why would you do that?
The group was headed to a We the People Patriots Day rally in support of former President Donald Trump in Florida. But shortly after the plane took off, it plunged straight into Percy Priest Lake, killing all aboard.
What? What? Wait, what?
It plunged straight down into Percy Priest Lake,
But,
killing all aboard.
Like on purpose or
No, I think it was an accident.
why? Oh, is that like okay?
At 10:55 a.m., the controller instructed the pilot to climb and maintain 15,000 feet, but there was no response. The controller then made multiple attempts to reestablish communications with the airplane. However, there were no further communications.
Wow.
Radar data shows that the airplane made a series of heading changes along with several climbs and descents before it entered a steep descending left turn. The last radar return at 10:55 a.m. indicated the airplane was at an altitude of about 700 feet, descending about 31,000 feet per minute on a heading of 90 degrees.
Oh my God.
90 degrees.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
A fisherman described seeing the plane hit in a straight down nose first attitude. He did not see any evidence of fire or explosion. It crashed in a shallow section of the lake that was about 2 to 8 feet deep.
Oh my God. Yeah, so there's no like softening that at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just fucking disintegrated.
Wow.
Now, there are a couple possibilities that could have explained the cause. God. One being mechanical issue, but like the witness said, it didn't look like a visible issue, so maybe it was like an instrument issue or something, but obviously they were never able to find the cockpit because it was probably gone. The other could be human error. So it is believed that Joe was piloting the plane. Now, Joe was a pilot. He was a pilot of single engine planes for a very long time, but with Gwen's financial backing, he had like re-upped his license and had gotten new ones, and including a helicopter license. So I think he was licensed to fly this plane.
Okay.
However, he did not have the hours. So like when you become a pilot, you have to have like a certain amount of hours under like supervision, right?
Yep.
Or something like that. So he did not have like the appropriate amount of hours that he should have been flying the plane alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The weather that day was also quite bad with like some cloud cover. So it was kind of like fly by instrument weather, which we learned about in, you know, my previous episode about the plane crashes.
Yep.
And obviously, flying in clouds can be quite disorienting for pilots. In the documentary, they talked about how you can quickly think you're turning left and going right, or, you know, vice versa, you know, going up, going down.
Exactly. Yep.
So that can like disorient him quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one of the articles, it also said like he needed glasses or something. Like he could fly, but he needed like optical
Oh,
lenses or something.
nice.
So
Yeah.
that's good, right? Also, the plane was not equipped, nor was it required to be equipped with a flight data recorder,
Oh, nice. Okay.
a black box, or a cockpit voice recorder. So at the end of the day, we probably will never know what caused the crash, but you know, maybe someone up there had something to do with it.
You keep doing this in my name, and this is not how I told you to live. So,
But what did this mean for the church, right?
right.
The day of the crash, the church was actually hosting a wedding, according to the Max documentary. So in the documentary, it's the parents of this girl. They knew from the beginning that she was getting sucked into this cult, and they had tried over and over again to like kind of get her out. But at the end of the day, the parents of the bride were just thankful that they were being invited to this wedding.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they woke up that morning, they obviously heard the news. It was like all over Tennessee news, Nashville news. And the father of the bride called the father of the son and asked, you know, is the wedding still on?
Right.
All of your leaders just died.
Imagine. Wow.
And the father said yes. So they got ready for a wedding. And the parents comment on how everyone at the wedding was like happy, or like what it seemed like fake happy.
Because they've been told not to mourn. Like you can't grieve, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They said it was strange for them to witness a whole group of people pretend like their leaders didn't just die in a horrific way.
Yeah.
And they also commented how other family members looked at them and said, oh, you were right. This is a cult. But yeah, died in a horrific way, and everybody's like pretending nothing happened.
Wow.
This is especially odd considering Gwen would preach that like when something goes wrong or bad things happen in someone's life, it's God passing judgment on them.
That's awkward.
Right? For the cult, or like for the church, what does this mean? You know, when the leaders die in a plane crash,
Horrific
that
plane
God
crash
should have been able to protect them from, that should have protected them from this, you know, like
interesting.
But of course, that philosophy didn't apply to Gwen and her leaders. That's not what happened.
Okay.
And it was planned for Elizabeth to take over for Gwen. We already knew this from the beginning. So she was basically trained by Gwen at this point. That day, Elizabeth sent out a text message to the congregation. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I actually have it.
Ooh.
So I'm just going to read parts of it. From Elizabeth Hannah, Remnant Saints. My brother and I are asking for immediate prayers right now, as we have just gotten word that Gwen and Joe Lara's plane had to go down for a controlled, quick landing. We do not have word yet of the outcome, but we are asking for prayers. More information to come, but be in prayer and be at peace. God is in control, and we will not stop moving forward with what God wants with this church.
Good God.
Controlled, quick landing.
Controlled. Was there like a follow-up to this text, or that's just it?
That's just it.
Wow.
That's what she sent to her congregation about the crash. So, moving forward, at the time, in a statement, Gwen's children stated that they had intended to continue the dream that Gwen had of helping people to find a relationship with God.
Wild.
Like I said, Elizabeth was now seen as the new leader. However, it is kind of questionable as to whether she can actually carry on her mother's legacy. In the documentary, they kind of had like a cult expert.
Yeah.
And his opinion was like Gwen had the authority and like the willpower to properly run a cult.
Yeah.
And he kind of questioned on if anyone could actually step up and continue to do what she was doing.
Right. Because you have to have a certain personality, I guess we could say, to like.
And I don't think Elizabeth has that personality at all.
No, I don't either.
Michael, on the other hand, I don't know when he left. I think he left a little bit after his mom died. So he is no longer a leader or a member.
Okay.
And he actually had struggled for many years with the church. Like when he was younger, he would leave the church, come back, leave the church, come back.
Okay.
But now he's obviously left for good. And in fact, he is one of the former members that calls out Remnant as a church. And he kind of started exposing them. Like in one post that I saw right before doing this, so I couldn't get a lot of information from it. He was basically telling like all the secrets. Like they have
Wow.
this guidance system, and they use that guidance system to monitor their members' activities and get all this information on them,
Yeah.
and so they can use it against them.
Good. Glad he's exposing them.
So to kind of like end this, I guess, people had questioned whether Gwen actually believed in what she did or if it was for greed. Though Gwen would deny she ever did it for the money, her will kind of proves otherwise.
Right.
In her will, which she signed in 2011, so it's kind of outdated,
Okay.
she left her estate, now worth approximately $20 million in real estate and numerous other assets, to her then husband David.
Oh.
Their adult children Elizabeth and Michael listed as successors.
Okay.
But because Gwen divorced David in 2018, the law in the state of Tennessee says that her ex-husband cannot be the beneficiary of her will. That means
interesting. Okay.
that Gwen left every single thing to her kids and didn't even mention Remnant Fellowship. Nothing went to her church.
That's very interesting.
Even though over the years she claimed that they gave up Elizabeth's and Michael's tuition to build the church. They did this, to do that. Like, I don't really have an outro, but that's the Remnant Fellowship cult church.
That's crazy.
Weight loss program that wants you to starve yourself and beat your kids.
That's terrifying. And people did that. Great.
Yeah.
Love that. Hate that.
And are still doing that? Question mark?
Can we stop? Is that a thing that we could just stop doing, please? Thank you.
Their website is insane.
I
bro.
looked.
They have so many leaders, and then like there's like everything you like learn about us, and it's like a 50-minute video of Gwen.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah, like on the, because I was like trying to figure out their beliefs or whatever. I was like, all right, what do they say that their beliefs are? And it had like 4 sections. I was like, oh, a quick little summary. But like the summaries, it's like a question. What is this or whatever?
Yeah.
And then you click on it, and instead of having like a synopsis under the video, it just has the same question and then a video 50 minutes long.
Oh, good
Gwen
God.
talking.
Nice.
So I was like, I'm obviously not watching these to get this information.
No, because it's going to be so one-sided and like just not you. If you guys want to watch it, it's on their website.
Yeah, they have lots of videos on their website.
Don't click on anything and get like sucked into anything. That's all I'm saying.
Don't click on anything because it is paid. Like you had to pay to join their Way Down workshop and stuff like that.
You gotta make money somehow, I guess. That's it for this episode. If you enjoy the podcast, don't forget to follow us. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Hi! Make sure you like and subscribe. Do it.
You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with our username at TTA Podcast. And in the bio of all of our social media is our link tree, which has our email. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, topic ideas, hit us up. Let us know.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Next week, we're gonna do my cult story, so make sure you be there, be square. It will also be a little triggering, so just be warned. But yeah, we're gonna be doing a part 2 of our cults because our cults just like take up so much time, and we don't want to keep you here for like 2.5 hours. So we'll see you next week with it, and then with that, we'll leave you with this inspirational quote:
"Flower does not think of competing with the flower next to it; it just blooms." By Zen Shin.
I like that.
Me too.
Because, like, you shouldn't be competing with the person beside you. You should just do you, do the best you, and then don't
You're
worry
your
about
own person. You can't compare yourself to anybody else.
Yeah, because if you just sit there in your life, that's why Facebook is so toxic. Because first of all, people only post on Instagram and Facebook the good things. Like, they're not posting their struggles. So you see, like, you know, your best friend from high school is doing so well, living in like the best house and has a whole family and stuff. But like, you don't know what's really going on. So don't compare
They're probably
yourself.
swimming in debt and living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, so don't compare yourself. Live your best life. Focus on yourself. And yeah. So thanks for listening again, guys.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.